Hey everyone, Ed with Slow Car Fix, working on fixing a slow car. Um, Changing plans. The plan for this engine for this car has changed. It hasn't really changed for the car. It's just what I'm doing has changed. Uh, I'll show you what I'm doing. So this is the engine that is the known good engine that I was going to put in it. Is the key word there. Um, I started poking around at it, and then I took all the shrouds off and got it all sort of starting to get it ready. And that was it for the end of the day. And that night, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking this car has very low mileage, so it appears. There's a lot of little telltale things. I talked to some friends that are more expert on this than I am, and they believe that the mileage on this car may be accurate. And the mileage says, what does that say? 12,355 miles. Now I thought it would be 112,000, and then I showed a friend the brake pedal that doesn't have a lot of wear. Don't mind a little bit of surface rust on the floor. There's nothing going through there, but I showed a friend that, and he thought that was indicative of actual mileage when you look at the condition of the rest of the car. No idea, but I'm assuming so. I look at some of the little telltale things, like everything was complete. The wiring all looks sort of new, but it's not new because it's original-ish. There's my new master cylinder, but you can see, I removed the washer bottle, but that was all intact. Even the washer fluid antifreeze bottle is there, and all the sticker is intact, which usually is destroyed. The car is actually in pretty good shape, and the floor is very good. So there's a lot of telltale signs that this is in fact some sort of low mileage car. Whether or not it's 12,000 miles, I'm not sure. It's not uncommon with Corvairs, because Corvairs got a bad rap real quick, and a lot of them just got parked because they weren't worth anything. They're still not worth a huge pile, but they're coming up in value some, and they're pretty good little, I hate to say entry-level collector car, but they get you into playing with cars. So anyways, this is the engine that was original to the car. I thought, well, I better strip this down and have a look. Apart from the obvious mouse turds and grease, because they leaked right from the showroom. Right when they were brand new, they leaked like crazy. Rubber O-rings, these pushrod tubes, much like Volkswagen and Porsche. They had a rubber O-ring in here. And later on, you would replace them with a Viton O-ring, and the Viton would stop virtually all the leaks. But if they were rubber, they would leak right from brand new. But if you look at the internals of this, this is the oil pan side, that's the oil pickup. If you look at the cam gear, and I confirmed this with a friend of mine that rebuilds engines, that cam gear is showing virtually no wear, and it looks kind of like it's maybe just broke in, so the mileage is probably right. So I'm going to carry on and reseal this engine. Now you can see this is so it's a horizontally opposed flat six. You can see right through the engine block when you take off the top cover, and you can see that everything in there, yes, it's got some caked on oil stuff from old school oil and whatnot, but it's pretty clean. It's pretty clean. I've seen a lot of these things apart where they're just black, like right black inside. So it's got a lot of corrosion and crap on the outside, and the exhaust manifolds are rotten and stuff, but it's just all showing signs. You can see the exhaust manifolds are rotten. It's all showing signs of just a car that sat around. So that's pretty interesting. Another thing that I noticed is that it's a two-speed power glide transmission, and I ran the number on the differential. It's an HC differential, which is a 327 gear. So this would have been a factory 95 horsepower, 2-speed power glide, 327 gear car. So it's a pretty good cruiser, really. The 95s are very smooth. They're very robust little engine. The 327 gear makes it, you can cruise at 85 miles an hour all day long and not really even worry about it. And I know that because I've done it lots. It's a great combination for cruising and for road trips, and they're actually quite a nice little car to drive, these Corvairs. If you haven't checked into them, check into them. Jay Leno has a few. There's a really big club following. There's all over North America and even in Europe, and they're everywhere. And they were actually a really good car. They were made from 1960 to 69. This is an early model, so this is 64. This is the last of the early models. Yeah, so I just wanted to give you an update on what I'm doing. So I'm going to continue the eternity of degreasing, and I'm going to reseal this engine. I'm going to replace, obviously, the oil pan gasket, the top cover gasket. There's two there. Actually, I use anaerobic flange sealer on them. I'm going to replace the oil pump housing assembly gasket that's in there. Going to replace the oil pump and put a new oil pump in it. This is the oil cooler. I'm going to pull that off and clean it, or put a clean one on it and do the oil cooler seals. This oil filter adapter is going to come off, and I'm going to replace the gasket there, obviously, and convert this, because this is a generator style. I'm going to convert to an internally regulated alternator. I do that on all my cars, all my Corvairs. The bell housing will come off. The engine will lay down flat after I do the pan gasket. The bell housing will come off. I will replace the crank seal on that side. I'll replace the crank seal on this side. Replace the torque converter seal, which is on the torque converter over there. I'm going to reseal the differential and the transmission. Yeah, so I ordered about $500 worth of parts last night. Happy New Year. Yeah, so you can see there was no... I've cleaned out the pan just a little bit. Like, there's no sludge or crap in there. This is the bearing housing and the baffle plate. It goes on the top of the engine. I have a new bearing. I will press this bearing out. I have one in stock. I'll press this assembly out of the housing and press the bearing out of this, and then press the new one in, and so on. I'll probably sandblast this and clean it up, because it's just cruddy from sitting there. The car was repainted at one time, so there's overspray on everything. Why they would repaint a low mile car? Probably just because it got faded and you could get paint jobs for a couple $100 back in the day. So you can see I have all the shrouding in piles everywhere. I'm going to box them up, inventory them. I got to clean all the crap off them that I don't, or that I want to save, like all the wiring, and I got to remove these. This is the perimeter seal that goes around, which is actually surprisingly pliable for being. It's likely original because there's still staples in it. So I'm going to cut off the staples from the backside. This retainer comes off, so this is two separate pieces. I have to do that on this piece down here, and that piece. And then I will send them all off to get sandblasted and powder coated. Same with the valve covers. I will get them blasted and coated. Outside only, obviously. And the top cover, the turkey roaster as we call it, the shroud. There's the motor mount. I will get that done, and then they will all look like this kind of stuff. That is a freshly sandblasted and powder coated damper door, in contrast to the one I just pulled off this car. So I have to box up this crap and get it ready to go. There's the fan. There's two fans, one from each engine that I've got here. So I'll get them done as well. I might get that back cover done. There's the cross piece for the air breather. I'll get that done. This is one of those retainers. This is the one for the back. I'll get that done as well. Yeah, so I'll spend a little bit of money at the powder coaters. That's okay. Just for reference, a car that's got 12,000 miles on it, that's been, say, in California or Nevada or something, and has been driven periodically throughout its life or stored inside in nice conditions, is not going to resemble the condition of this car. This is typical for a low mile car that's been in Canada, that's been stored in not the best situation. Fortunately, the body didn't rot, but everything else was deteriorated. The interior, the mice got the better of, and then they scattered that all over the engine compartment, which is wonderful. If you recall, a few years ago in Nebraska, I believe, there was the Lambrecht auctions. They had some Corvairs there that were like, I don't know, 9 and 12 miles and stuff. So they were essentially brand new cars that had the window stickers on them and everything, and they were destroyed. Some of them turned out to be pretty nice, I think. Some of them were not good. Low mile cars, and they turned out to be very, very rough. So that's what makes it hard to determine if mileage is accurate or not. There's telltale things like the brake pedal wear. But really the real telltale is that, for me, is that all the fasteners are correct and that everything is correct and that it's obvious this car hasn't been restored. And with Corvairs in particular being a cheap car, and I imagine Volkswagens and stuff are the same, that the people will swap out and do a lot of handyman-ish repairs on them. So they will end up with fasteners and wood screws and stuff that don't really belong. This car was not that way. The engine came out very easily because every wrench I went to go grab, because I know the sizes, every wrench that I went to go grab for it was the correct size, and all the fasteners were the right fasteners. So it hasn't been monkeyed with, and that's kind of my telltale that the car is an original-ish car. The interior, apart from the mice destroying it, is all intact. There's not a lot of wear on the seats. It's just come apart from mice. So I'm not doing this car correct. It's not a restoration. I'm just doing a nice driver out of it. I've got a 63 interior, which is not correct, and I cringe at the thought of putting it in, but it's a really nice condition, and it's the right color. It's white. It's going to be a nice combination, nice contrast with the Lagoon Aqua. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with this, and maybe I'll show you a few things. If you get a chance, check out the other videos and subscribe. That'd be helpful. Thanks. Okay, I threw on the pan. It's not final installed. It's just in place to keep out foreign material. I use these, actually I can show you over here better. These cork rubber gaskets. A lot of the Corvair parts suppliers have them. Try not to make you too dizzy. The trick with this is because I want to lay this down and I want to pull the bell housing off. The trick is to not put these 3 bolts in the bottom, because those 3 bolts, you can't really tell, but they go into the bell housing. So if you want to be able to knock that bell housing off, you are not going to be able to do it with those 3 bolts in. So usually when I do a removal from the car, and I think I'm not going to stand it up, because when you stand it up, you do make a big mess because all the oil runs out the bottom. So if I'm just doing a basic job where I'm doing like a clutch or a torque converter or something like that, I won't stand the engine up. It won't even be unshrouded. It'll be laying flat in its normal orientation. So what I'll often do is before I pull the engine out of the car, when it's still in the air, I'll drop these 3 bolts out. I'll also undo these, the 2 bolts I guess I should show it the camera. I'll undo these, the 2 bolts that go through the bell housing that go into the differential at the bottom, because that way when this is sitting flat on a table, you don't have to try and wrestle to try and get the bolts out from underneath. You've already got them out while it's suspended in the air from the car. It makes it a lot easier. I hope that makes sense to Corvair folks out there that do this stuff. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and lay this engine flat, and then that way I can knock the bell housing off, continue cleaning, and I can clean the cam gear area properly, because I could only get at the bottom of it. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm going to end it here. It's about dinner time. I'm going to go inside and have something to eat. I've got to clean some stuff up here before I go in. I have my sandblaster out, and that kind of involves me getting out a few other things that I don't like to get out often. So shop vac and all that stuff. So I'm going to give this place a little cleanup, and then I'm going to go inside and have some dinner and hit it again tomorrow, another day. And I'll update you guys as I go. This might not be interesting to everyone. It's pretty Corvair specific, but this is something I do. So here you have it. So please, if you get a chance, check out my other videos. I'd appreciate it if you considered subscribing. It does help. It helps a lot. And hit the like button. But the most important thing would be subscribing, and if you click the little notification bell, so you can get notified when I post new stuff. I'm trying to post stuff about once a week now. Now that my work schedule is slowed down and I can stay out in the shop more, I'm trying to post on around every Saturday if I can. So stick with me and watch me work on some stuff. Thanks. Stay positive. Stay safe. Happy New Year.